Last time you were here, a clip of yours went viral, and it was titled, "Don't Mess with Putin." And I'm just curious, has anything in your mind changed as far as Putin and how he plays out this war in Ukraine and his ultimate endgame? Is he a guy to be underestimated or not? You said he's very smart, even smarter than we think he is.
Well, there's no question he's very, if you just listen to his speeches like I have for years, and there was a time 2 or 3 years ago, he wasn't as fluent. Now he's obviously, if he had a medical problem, the Brits were talking constantly about a cancer. I've heard that from people, but he seems to have overcome all that. He has a lot of facts at disposal. On the other hand, he started the most lethal war in Western Europe. You know, we have Chechnya, we have the Balkans, they're all in Western Europe, but this is big league, what he's done, and what you call it. The destruction is just enormous on all sides. And so that's not rational. So he's, you know, it's not rational what he did. On the other hand, from our point of view, and we think too lightly of it, he's been saying for a long time, you know, we made a deal in 1990 when East Germany folded and joined Germany. And Germany was then in NATO, and the German government wanted the NATO to accept the merged government, which means that that means that the Russia had their counterpart to NATO, which was called the Warsaw Pact. That means that Gorbachev, then the head of Russia, had to eat it. He had to say, okay, we're going to diminish the Warsaw Pact and we'll let Germany come into NATO. But the deal was, and I can't emphasize this so much, these papers I'm talking about are not, that they're classified, but I have a lot of buddies who are in the government. They have to go to bond for something. I've asked a couple of guys in the last few years, one of my tennis buddies, read the docs. And they go and they come back, they say exactly what they say. That Jim Baker, was a very good Secretary of State in Bush 1. Jim Baker, I don't agree with him on everything, but he was terrific compared to what we have, you know, and smart and competent. And Baker agreed. The language in essence was, we'll not go east with NATO. We're not going to move closer to you. And we didn't obey that agreement. So he's got that on his side. And he's got the fact that we stupidly, I think, put some missiles that we claim are defensive missiles a couple of dozen miles inside the border of Poland that overnight can be turned to warheads that can put 100 million megatons. 2 or 3 weapons could take out of Moscow. The weapons we have now are unbelievable. And so given all the forces he has, did he overreact? I sure think so. And did he try and make an agreement before that? I do think there's some evidence that he did in before the war in January, February. There were some talks, but not enough. We weren't backing off. This is the Biden administration, and they're not going to back off now. They're not interested in talks. They're not interested in talks with the Chinese. If you won't go to, if the foreign minister of America won't go meet the foreign minister of China because of a balloon, I mean, you've got a real problem. And the language, and now he's going to start sanctioning companies that are doing business with China. The Nike shoes, whatever they are. Some of them have moved them out already. And China, by the way, is vulnerable. It's vulnerable because they don't have the money they need, and they have a large community in China, in Singapore, in Hong Kong, and also many of the countries that are very IT, many of the parts of the countries that are very IT and business related. The old communist model isn't going to work. They're going to have to rethink a lot of things in China, but it's still an intact country. And Xi came to Russia, the meetings, and if you remember, there was no public statements about Ukraine, no commitments of arms. It was all, and I think what I was told is that a lot of it had to do with figuring out a way they can maybe get more oil at a cheaper price. They're hurting for money. There was a lot of economic talk. And all I know is that America in the last 2 or 3 years has lost an enormous amount of influence around the world, which may be good because we don't seem, we've got 800 bases abroad, 180 special forces in different units, not necessarily bases, but in the pots and pan places. And, we're spending an incredible fortune. We have 250,000 troops in South Korea still. I think three different 4-star commanders. So maybe, maybe it's good if we cool off and I'm not saying weaken our defense, because that's always suicide for any president, but cut back spending where you can without it. And I don't think North Korea and South Korea are going to be at war with each other. I don't know why we need 250,000 troops there. And I don't need why we have 800 bases. So I'm not a pacifist, because that's a losing game. You have to have strength, but a lot of people have a lot of nukes now.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. Hey, it's Brian Rose, founder of the DeFi Academy. I've told you my 4-week crypto bootcamp is amazing, but don't take my word for it. This is what my students are saying.
The DeFi Academy was an amazing experience for me. It took me totally out of my comfort zone.
In this course, I was challenged, I was held accountable, and pushed to do things that honestly weren't always easy.
It's been phenomenal, and I can't believe we're already up on our 4 weeks. It has flown by.
Going through this DeFi accelerator by far was one of the best courses I've taken.
You do this course, you really get into the nitty-gritty of the activities that will make you comfortable with decentralized finance.
Thank you so much to Brian and everyone at London Real and the DeFi Academy for even putting together an amazing course like this.
Anybody else that wants to do it, please sign up. It is well worth the money.